Is Jett Lawrence on pace to be the greatest ever? Is he the greatest? Is he on track to be the greatest you've ever seen? A lot of people were having that discussion last year about how quickly he was breaking records and getting to certain milestones.
Well, I was fortunate to grow up in an era, I don't know if it was fortunate or unfortunate, because I've had my ass kicked by all the greatest riders in the history. So, I do feel that people get a little carried away sometimes. You know, Jett had won like 2 or 3 Supercrosses. They're like, is he going to take McGrath's record? And I'm like, whoa, okay. Let's just calm down, everyone. Let's just keep in mind what he has accomplished. Eli Tomac, who's extended his career a lot, is the second winningest rider, and he's still not going to reach Jeremy. Does Jett Lawrence have the ability? I think so. I think he's a generational talent that, you know, if you go back, you look at Jeremy was the king of Supercross, and Carmichael, who by no means was not great at Supercross, he's 5-time champion, hello, pretty impressive, but he was the GOAT, you know, and the king of motocross. Jett Lawrence may be the one that is exceptional at both. You know, a lot of times you will always see someone tends to be better at one or the other. Cooper Webb is more of a Supercross guy. You know, Brownie will be the first to admit to you, Supercross wasn't his forte, but hanging that off the back of that 125, screaming it to the moon outdoors, he was one of the best. The hard part is when you really look at it, already like with Jett, if he gets hurt in Supercross, you've lost a season. He comes out and wins motocross and shows everyone that he is the best rider right now, but then he gets hurt in motocross and wins Supercross. Injuries are going to be the one thing that derail it. If he stays injury-free, some of those numbers may be in jeopardy. He could be a 10-time national champion. He could be a 7-time champion. It's just a long way to go. He's accomplished so much already at his age, but it's going to take him at least 8 years to get near those numbers, even if he is the dominant guy.
Sure.
And that's a lot of ifs, and that's a lot to ask. But when I watch him, there are times I'm just like, it's almost not fair how, like, just naturally gifted he is.
Sure.
It actually pisses me off sometimes, because I'm like, when I was going fast, you could tell because I was a little out of control as well, you know, a little bit RC style. And you watch him, and it's like the faster he goes, the smoother it is. I'm like, how? Yeah. I'm like, this is not even fair. Like, that should be illegal. But he's just an incredible, and I know he works hard, but like his technique is about as perfect as it could be. Like, you know, David Bailey, I think, changed correct form in the 80s. Jett Lawrence is showing you how to be efficient on a modern day 4-stroke 450 with a lot of power. He runs it in a gear higher. He uses his legs properly, his hips, just the motion, everything is just like, you know, like it's like if there's a kid like, you know, how should I be? I just want to go watch Jett for 5 minutes. If you can be as close to that as possible, you got a good technique. Just try to mimic that, because that's the poster child of how to ride a dirt bike.
Well, man, this has just been tremendous. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you better watch you letting me in here, because I could easily go 8-12 hours with you. We got to get you to Glen Helen, like I said, to come BS or to come with one of our NGPC races. Before we go, we want everybody to come to Langston Motorsports and buy a Honda. I don't know if you could quickly, but to give them just a little bit more insight before we leave. Not the easiest thing in the world to get, there's a process to get a manufacturer in, and Honda is brand new for you, right? This was a work in progress. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so when we actually, I say we because it was me and my family, purchased what used to be West Coast Motorsports, we moved it, and we had to, obviously, you can't actually buy a franchise because you have to be approved and qualify and all those things. So for us, when we moved, we ended up losing Honda because they didn't want to be a part of all the other brands. They wanted their standalone store, and they had that for many, many years. And thankfully, we was able to talk with, you know, the people in charge and say, hey, it's too unpredictable. If something like COVID happens and you got all your eggs in one basket, and let's say Honda shuts down for a while, you could be starved as a business. So I always try to say, look, I want the best brands, but I don't believe our sport is big enough to have just one brand. And certain standalones have dealt with that, like some of the standalone KTM stores. They've been in a bit of a world of hurt, depending on who and where. But so I've always wanted to have all the major brands, and Honda was the one missing link. And thankfully, with Bill Savino, who I've gotten to know him a little bit more in recent times, and love his mindset and where his head's at. With him and his team, Corey, Pete, a lot of the guys, they wanted us to be a Honda dealer. They knew this area, was a good spot where they were missing out, and we were able to come to agreement because since we bought West Coast, renaming it Langston Motorsports, we've had Yamaha, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Polaris. We actually gave up Can-Am years back. They were at one point very difficult to work with, and it didn't make sense for us, so we parted ways. We also got out of the watercraft game, but the one missing link for me always felt like Honda. Since I was a kid, Honda's been sort of the staple and the brand. They used to always be number one. There is some competition out there right now. Like, if you go look post-COVID, KTM in motorcycles was right there, and then now you're seeing Yamaha, Honda, Cowie. They're all, and I think you're starting to see the guys like, we want to be number one. Like Cowie wants to be number one. Yamaha, we had a meeting. They're like, we're looking to grow market share again, and Honda's like, all right, we want to work with you. We want a Honda dealer there. So I'm really stoked to have, in my opinion, all the best brands.
Sure.
The ones that actually sell and have a good track record and
Sure.
do all the good things. So it's exciting to finally see some red bikes on the showroom floor, and it all just happened too. So in fact, most of our stuff is still being trucked in right as we speak. So I think it's a key component for us. And now when people say, what do you sell? I can just say all the good stuff.
That's amazing.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
We have it.
That's awesome. Everybody needs to make sure you check this out and get here if you can. Paris, California, with an E, not an A.
Yes.
Get that one straight. And it's just been an awesome experience, man. I'm really proud of you. Like I said,
Thank
I see a lot of racers who unfortunately maybe struggle with what to do with their life after racing is over. You have really found a way to not only move to the next chapter, but to thrive. And this is impressive. So big congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
Last question for you. You gave the best racing advice. I like to end with all my legends and everybody who's found success is, what is the best life advice you could offer anybody watching this? I know you, like all of us, you said you've had your ups and downs with depression, your highs and lows in life, but you're sitting here right now, well-versed, successful guy. What is the best life advice you could offer anybody watching this?
Well, it can be life advice, but it also works in racing and sport. But the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I think a lot of times it's easy for people to say, I was unfortunate, I got robbed, I should have had this, I should have had that. And I always say, you get what you get. You're worth what someone's willing to pay you. Maybe it's more than you thought you would ever get, or maybe you're like, I deserve more. But you know what? When you work hard, good things seem to happen.
That's tremendous advice, guys. Take
simple,
notes. I know.
It's simple, but I've said it with racing and in life. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
I like it a lot. I like the one you told me too when we were announcing Best in the Desert. I'll never forget it. You said to finish first, you must first finish.
Yep.
Right? How about that?
Yeah, because when I was young, I remember I was fast, but competing with guys older than me, and like my dad said, he said, it's not your speed that's an issue. He's like, you're just so erratic. And he said, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to win. And he goes, well, how about try to finish the race? Don't crash your brains out, because if you finish, you'll have a good chance at winning. So I was like, got it, locked in the vault.
Super, super cool. And I'm assuming Benny's Subs, is that your sub place?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to check that out too.
Yeah,
then.
so it's a sandwich shop in Murrieta. And I went there as a customer for many years, and actually a lot of friends and people I know, dude, obviously was owned by Benny and his wife, and got to know them because I was a bit of a regular, and they a few years ago wanted to retire, and I'm like, what are you going to do with this place? And he's like, I'm going to sell it. And he goes, you should buy it. And I literally laughed. I said, yeah, right. I said, I know nothing about this line of work, business. And he's like, you're a smart guy, I can teach you. And I'm like, you're a good salesman. And he goes, seriously? He goes, sign an NDA and I can show you. He goes, it's not rocket science. We're not curing cancer. He goes, we're assembling fresh ingredients to what people want. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to do something that's a little bit different, because my joke was race motorcycles, sell motorcycles, announced for motorcycle racing. How about a sandwich shop? Let's just throw a curveball in there. Let's try something different. I almost wanted to challenge myself, and it was nice because I brought my sister in, because she works she does all the DMV paperwork for Langston Motorsports, but I thought now she'll have a chance to be an owner. And I said, look, I need your help. You're good at accounting and bookkeeping and all the things I hate. So I said, you come in. My daughter worked there. My girlfriend manages it. So again, it's another family business. And it's one of those, in the power sports industry, sales and profitability can do this. Sandwich shop, it's boring, but a good boring. You know, everyone has to eat. So and everyone, no one gets angry after a good sandwich. They usually are happier when they leave. So
well
it's
said.
Cool.
Well said. If anybody can make it work, it's you. I know where we're doing lunch. So Grant, thanks so much, man. Always appreciate it. Guys, make sure you get not only the sandwich shop, but right here, Langston Motorsports, Paris, California. This place is awesome. Now has Hondas. Make sure you leave your thoughts, your questions down below. Give us a like, smash subscribe, and you know if there's anything fast motorcycles, we're in. From Langston Motorsports with the legend himself, Grant Langston, Cycledrag rolls on.